Today we're going to talk about petrochemical steam crackers, also referred to as ethylene crackers. We'll discuss the feedstocks they use as well as the products they make. You may be surprised that they've touched just about everything in your room. Steam cracking is a high-temperature process that turns crude oil-based naphtha, as well as natural gas liquids such as ethane, propane, and butane, into usable petrochemicals such as ethylene, propylene, butadiene, and more. The choice of feedstock heavily dictates the volume of petrochemical co-products that will be produced. As an example, this chart shows for each feedstock to produce 1 pound of ethylene, it generates an X amount of co-products. We use ethylene as the baseline as ethylene production is the primary focus of these steam crackers, given ethylene is the strongest in global demand. However, the co-products as shown, such as propylene, butadiene, benzene, and so on, can also add tremendous value in direct sale or be converted downstream into other petrochemical products such as acrylonitrile for ABS plastic, or butadiene for synthetic rubber for tires, or benzene for bisphenol A to make polycarbonate. To demonstrate the importance of the steam cracker's feedstock selection, let's discuss a propylene example. An ethane feedstock steam cracker produces 1 pound of ethylene with 0.036 pounds of co-product propylene. However, a naphtha feedstock steam cracker produces 0.526 pounds of co-product propylene when producing 1 pound of ethylene. That is almost 15 times more propylene co-product produced via naphtha-based steam cracking versus ethane-based steam cracking. Understanding what the preferred cracker feedstock is in the market, based on the overall value of the various steam cracker co-products, can help you determine what co-products will be produced more than others. This gives you a window into the future of upcoming supply dynamics. It's also a big reason why supply and demand of these co-products can remain balanced. Now, with this said, not all steam crackers are built to handle all these different types of feedstocks. Some steam crackers are flexible and can take all feedstock types. Some may only accept natural gas liquids such as ethane, propane, or butane, while some may only be equipped to handle ethane feedstock. In either case, the selected feedstock before entering the steam cracker must be fully vaporized into a gas. This requires prepping the feedstock just above its boiling point, where the feedstock passes through the convection section of the furnace. The radiant furnace is what allows the feedstock cracking to take place. Natural gas combustion heats metal coils containing the selected feedstock, raising temperatures to 850 degrees Celsius, which is needed for cracking reactions to occur efficiently. The vaporized gas only passes through the furnace for just a second. That is just enough time for thermal cracking to take place. The feedstock breaks into molecules like ethylene, propylene, butadiene, and more. Immediately following the thermal cracking, the co-products are cooled to 525 degrees Celsius to stop the reaction and preserve the ethylene and propylene olefin yield. Then the vaporized gas is further cooled, where pyrolysis gasoline starts to get separated out in its liquid state from equipment called knockout drums at temperatures around 120 degrees Celsius. This pyrolysis gasoline has value as it consists of hydrocarbons such as pentane, isoprene, hexene, hexane, benzene, toluene, and xylene, which are crucial for petrochemical production as well as gasoline blending. These are also important to remove because they could damage or disrupt downstream equipment like compressors if left in the gas stream. Now that the pyrolysis gasoline is removed, the cracked gas, now consisting mostly of methane, ethane, propane, and a crude C4 stream, is compressed at 35 bars of pressure to prepare for cryogenic separation. The compressed gas is routed to a cold box, where it's chilled at temperatures below -150 degrees Celsius. This is where the fractionators come into play. A fractionation column is a very tall distillation tower. Inside it, vapor rises and liquid falls. Because different hydrocarbons boil at different temperatures, the column naturally separates them. That's the key to the separation phase. Based on the temperature in these columns, certain gas vapors will rise while heavier liquids with different boiling points will fall. The fractionation distillation columns we'll discuss are the demethanizer, the deethanizer, the depropanizer, and lastly, the debutanizer. First, the cryogenic cold gas enters the demethanizer where the temperature increases just enough, let's say -100 degrees Celsius, to separate out the streams of hydrogen, methane, nitrogen by pulling these vapors from overhead. While it's still cold, it's warm enough to allow the gases mentioned to be captured out of the top. The remaining bottom liquids such as ethylene, ethane, acetylene, propylene, propane, butane, and heavier are moved to the next fractionator, which is the deethanizer. The deethanizer is where temperatures rise more, let's say -50, where the ethylene, ethane, and acetylene vapor is pulled from the top of the fractionator. The impurity acetylene is removed or converted to ethylene in a catalytic reactor to meet product specs. Acetylene needs to be removed as it can impact the ethylene polymerization process. The ethylene is then sent to ethylene splitters to purify the ethylene to over 99%. The bottom liquids such as propane, propylene, butane, and heavier move on to the next fractionator. The next fractionator is the depropanizer. This unit is slightly warmer than the previous unit, let's say minus 25 degrees Celsius. This fractionation column takes the gas from the previous deethanizer, which now consists of propane, propylene, butanes, butenes, and butadiene, and separates out the propane and propylene from the stream. The propylene can then be purified in a propylene splitter. Before propylene purification, it must be sent to a MAP dehydrogenation unit, where the impurities methylacetylene and propadiene are removed. These poison polymerization catalysts and lower propylene product quality, so it's essential they are removed. Once removed, the propylene is sent to a propylene splitter, where it can be purified to over 99.5% for polypropylene plastic production. Regarding the propane can be stored and sold for cooking or heating fuel. The heavier butane-rich bottoms are then sent to the C4 fractionator and debutanizer. This debutanizer unit is slightly warmer than the previous unit. This fractional distillation column's primary function is to concentrate and recover the butadiene, butenes, and butanes as the overhead vapor. Let's start with butadiene extraction from the crude C4 stream. Butadiene's boiling point is similar to butene 1 and isobutylene, which means distillation doesn't separate butadiene from butenes very well. This is where a solvent extraction process, such as using acetonitrile or dimethylformamide, comes into play. These solvents help extract butadiene out of the overhead vapor stream of the butenes into a bottom liquid stream for crude butadiene collection. This crude butadiene then goes to a purification process to achieve butadiene purity greater than 99.5%. Isobutylene is then also separated, where the isobutylene mixes with methanol to convert to MTBE, a valuable octane booster for gasoline. Isobutane is also separated from the N-butane and sold to alkylation units for gasoline, or converted into isobutylene for MTBE and isobutylene rubber. Isobutane can also directly be used as a refrigerant, as well as aerosol spray cans. The raffinate 2 stream of the crude C4, which consists mostly of butene 2 and some butene 1, can also be converted into butadiene, if so desired, by using oxidative dehydrogenation technology, ODH, which removes 2 hydrogens from the molecules using oxygen. The N-butane that is also in the raffinate 2 stream just tags along for the ride, however does not convert to butadiene. The N-butane, if over 95% pure, can then be used in LPG, which is a propane and butane mixture, used as a heating fuel locally and heavily exported around the world. The butenes, if not converted to butadiene, can be sold individually. Butene 1 can be sold to a plastics producer for density control in LLDPE and HDPE plastic films and containers. Butene 2 is more used for gasoline blending, where it can be used directly into the gasoline pool for octane enhancement. Another option is to sell the raffinate 2 stream consisting of butene 1 and butene 2 directly into the gasoline pool. This would be safe to do now that the butadiene and isobutylene have been removed. The goal of the steam cracker is to turn crude oil-based feedstock naphtha, or natural gas liquids, into high-purity polymer-grade ethylene and propylene, while recovering the valuable co-products. The steam cracker's feedstock selection can dictate what future co-products it wishes to produce more or less of. The demand of the consumer, which is you, regarding what type of product you are purchasing, plays a role in the demand dynamics that drive the supply strategy of the steam cracker. Now you know the building blocks of how gas and oil hydrocarbons transform into everyday objects, such as plastic bags, bottles, rubber for tires, carpet fibers, the foam in your chair, and much, much more. Thank you for taking the time to learn about petrochemical steam cracking.